webinar is Speakers Speak. A lot of people, and by the way, it's a conversation that I have been engaging on with the different audiences on Facebook and Clubhouse for a while now. So I actually do maybe once a week a house or a room in Clubhouse called Overcoming Fear of Speaking. And I truly find a lot of engagement and a lot of interest from different audiences. And the common denominator among speakers is that there is a fear of speaking, period. I'm afraid of speaking. I'm shy. How am I going to overcome it? So, of course, our discussion here touched on speaking with the understanding that we're on stage, we hold a microphone, something like this, and then we're talking in front of the audiences. But truly, for me, speaking is anytime you need to communicate an idea, thought, a project, whether you are in leadership positions or you're an employee who's trying to, build a career and get promoted, or you are in sales, for instance. So whether you're dealing with a service or a product, no matter what you're doing in life, speaking is about communicating, making a point, and coming across as a strong communicator when it comes down to your ideas and thoughts. And I keep on saying that life is a business transaction, no matter where you are. What are you gaining? What are you losing? And how you can really create bridges between that and convincing people that this idea, this thought, this, whatever it is, this is the next best thing in their life. So to advance. So Speakers Speak, what I'm going to be talking about, and as you can see, I'm rather a fast speaker because I train this way. However, in certain circumstances, if I need to slow down, I can absolutely switch. So if you guys want me to slow down, just, say something and I will be more than happy. But I, in my position as a speaker, I sometimes get 7 minutes or 11 minutes to make a point. And I really train my brain into thinking fast and delivering fast. And I like to create that energy, I love creating that energy. It's like, come on, guys, let's do it. Let's keep moving. And so that's part of why we're going to talk about the nonverbals, and Rizwan touched about it. The energy and the nonverbals. I mean, even though I'm speaking to a camera, I mean, it doesn't make a difference. I'm still smiling. My body's still engaging. I use my hands. I use my body, so all of these are super important to convey a message. And I actually find myself doing that even when I'm speaking to Clubhouse. The few rooms that I've done, I come in and I smile and I move myself, and I don't really just stagnate, because really the importance of intonation and voice is what captures the audience. So yeah, granted, it's nice when we do events live and they're next to us, in front of us, and we're connecting and all. But at the end of the day, the body language and the voice actually is a very, very powerful tool to convey your message, and you really need to work on those. If you are usually very platonic and very monotone voice, get that, figure out, put some passion, some hint, dance, scream, whatever you can do, whatever you need to do to really change your habit of communications, go for it and do it. In fact, I attended a webinar with Forbes Riley last week, and I saw you had an interview with her. My goodness, that woman actually screams, she was like screaming in the camera. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm ready to go that far, but the idea is really to wake up your audience. So it doesn't matter what tool you're engaging through, the engagement is still the same. So what we're going to be talking quickly here about the biggest mistakes the speakers make, overcoming the fear of speaking. And I have a little story that I'm going to share with you. Don't do it if you want. Well, you can do it, whatever. And then 10 ways to make money speaking, and then how to get booked. And then I have a little announcement in the end of the session with your permission. So why do I have a passion of speaking about monetization? Because that's how my brain works. I believe that, accomplishing yourselves through financial freedom is very, very important. And you can really turn anything and everything you do in life into a money-making machine. Why not? So what is the speaker's mission? So the first thing that a speaker needs to understand is that our role as speakers is really to impact people, influence people, and also help people find their voices. I don't remember how many times I heard two speakers really who moved me and touched my heart to a point that it changed my life, period. My life has changed thanks to the very amazing, influential speakers that I was so blessed and fortunate to hear speak at one moment of my life. And that started really at my early age, where I was very, very fortunate, I must say, that I was influenced by these people who like just put the whole idea of growth and impacting people and trying to make the world a better place. My journey, I joined that voice and that movement. And then crafting a message, you know, I mean, the mission of a speaker is to craft a message. What the hell are you going to be talking about? What are you trying to establish? What is the point? What is the, you know, the takeaway? And honestly, and Rizwan touched on it, anytime you try to have a conversation with people, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you just talk for the sake of talking, but you know, once you develop yourself as a speaker, I believe that any conversation you engage into, you have the end in mind. What is the takeaway? What is the takeaway that I want these people to get from me? How can my experience, my expertise, my knowledge turn into useful content that these people are not wasting their time having discussions with me? And I always try to get to that. And now, okay, it doesn't mean that you always have to give them something they want to hear. The best speakers are the ones who come and provoke your thought. In fact, I was in one of the rooms with Grant Cardone, and I'm not going to use his language, all right? I am not going to use his language, but he was saying that he loves to come into rooms and create an F, you know, mess and chaos, and then he leaves. And then so he leaves the room, and then everybody's going at each other. So it creates synergy, it creates energy, it creates, and it provokes and it challenges people sometimes to get out of their comfort zone and start having conversations that they normally would not even have. In fact, there was a topic that I kind of throw a bone in there last week, and it's talking about the comfort of talking about trauma growing up from cultural perspectives. And oh my God, everybody kind of became intense in the room. And it was like, oh my God, I cannot come and talk about my depression and my rape and my this and my that. I'm just saying examples here because it's a very taboo, it's very provocative topic for people to open up their hearts like that. So crafting a message doesn't mean give the people what they want to hear and just always agree with them. It's sometimes throw in there a provocative idea that make them really stop and think and reflect. And then the delivery, that is super important. Really be mindful and present with the body, the tone, the language, the eye contact, the movement, everything in you have to really be all aligned into that message. So I'm going to go quickly on this, the name, and I have 15 years of speaking nationally and internationally on different platforms. And of course, with COVID, we moved virtual, we did TV shows and we did programs and interviews. And in fact, I mean, from the whole takeaway here, what I really want to share with you, which I'm super excited about, is that I'm working on a book on the power of interviewing. And so how interviews can develop your skills as a speaker, help you build your self-confidence and so on and so forth. And I'm hoping this book be done soon. I'm working with Robert G. Moore on it as my publisher, and it will most likely turn into a signature course. So because I'm so passionate about giving people tools, methods that they can actually use to become better speakers, build confidence, connect with the world, and also create content. And creating content also for speakers is very challenging. What do we know that we're going to have enough to talk about, and we're always stressed out when we find, isn't it, Rizwan? We find a topic and it's like, okay, let's milk this cow, but how long is it going to last? And we're terrified that we might not have another great topic coming up. What do you think, Rizwan?
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree with that. But once you have that to share, then we are confident, we are comfortable, and we are free to share that content with everybody. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So interviews, I use interviews through my show Shaba Speaks and through conversations with so many great people actually to build, expand the business and so on and so forth, but also to create content. So I am never out of content and things to talk about. So the biggest mistakes speakers make is focus on fear on speaking. So instead of really focusing on the message, what's your mission? It's about the message. You're more worried about the speaking itself as a process, as if you never spoken before. I mean, come on, guys. We have been speaking since we were like, what, 2 years old, a year and a half, with the dadas and the doo-doos, and then we evolved. Of course, we gained more vocab, more words, more grammar, and then maybe second, third, fourth language. In my case, for God's sakes, English is my fourth language. You know how terrifying it was for me when I got off the boat about 23 years ago in the United States. Well, I landed actually in O'Hare International Airport, but I love the word. I got off the boat and no English. And it's like, holy cow, how am I going to do it? But you know what? I pushed into not only learning and mastering the language, but overcoming the fear of speaking in a fourth language. Like, what if I don't remember the vocab? What if? So all these what ifs I put aside, and I told myself, my subconscious mind, you are very capable of doing it, then just do it. And I love the Nike slogan, just do it. And that's what I live by. So I don't allow fear to take over, to stand between me and my goals. I do not. Just keep saying it to yourself. I do not allow fear to overcome between where I am and where I want to be. And if you tell yourself and you program your subconscious mind daily to not interfere, to not allow the fear to interfere with your goals, well, the fear is pretty obedient. It will stay away because it's just an emotion and it doesn't even exist. So you just look at it in the eye and say, fear, I know you're trying to protect me, but hey, I got this. I'm very capable of getting out there, expressing my thoughts, my ideas, my heart, because I have work to do, and impacting the world is more important than allowing you to hold me back. We touched a little bit about speaking from the heart, but no strategy. That's the recipe for chaos. So you need to learn strategies. The John Maxwell team, for instance, they have 26 steps in their methods, the John Maxwell method of speaking that we train and we're trained on. I'm not saying go ahead and adopt the 26. That's probably, for me, it's a little overkiller, but there is a pattern that you follow and a structure and a method that you can follow. And then you just create a system that works for you. But please give up the notion of just speaking from the heart. And I actually gave examples a few times where I said, I love playing piano. I just started learning it. I love playing tennis, and I love doing a lot of stuff from the heart because I'm passionate about it. But I'm not going to just sit, by the piano and start hitting notes, because the result is probably not something that any one of you would like to listen and enjoy, nor would you like me to just grab a racket and start hitting balls. So there is a methodology structure. There is a technique you need to learn. And to be a good speaker, you have to master the technique. And then, of course, the topic, the subject is from the heart, but you actually empower your words with the strategy. The other mistake, number 3, is it's about them, not the audience. So a lot of people, when they go on stage and they grab the mic, I'm like, no, am I really worried about looking good? No, probably not, because I'm paying attention to Clubhouse Room. I'm paying attention to these things. So me is really the least of my problems right now. So I'm really focused on connecting with these amazing people who joined us in these 2 platforms and making sure that you're feeling it, you're getting it, you're connecting with my words and the message that I'm trying to convey. And then, of course, lead us to wanting to look good. Honestly, you would never, ever go to listen to somebody speak and say, gosh, he really looked good, don't you think? He was just like something. Of course not. The people you will remember are the people who left you, like Rizwan said, with an emotion, with an experience, with a moment where you really thought deeply about where you are and where you want to be. And that's what the process of speaking, inspire and transform is all about. And then, of course, speaking readiness are probably connected to number two. Be ready. I mean, be ready. I'm not saying go get a PhD in speaking. What I'm saying is that speak every day. Go to Clubhouse, go to Facebook, do live events. And it's funny because the first time you're going to do it, you will remember it. I remember exactly when was the first time that I dared to take a phone and talk, do an event live on Facebook. I remember what I was wearing. I remember what I was, and I remember the topic, because at that moment I was ready just to cross that line and do it. And then please, please, please don't spend your time reading notes. Like, as you can see, the only thing that I have in front of me right now is literally the bullet points that you're seeing. What you're seeing is what I'm seeing. I don't have any additional notes. I'm not distracted trying to read. Absolutely not. I am so present with you. I'm connected to these bullets that you also are seeing, and I am more connected and more with you than worrying about what's the next point that I need to read. So that's what you need to do. How do you get yourself in there? Some people need to memorize, like stand-up comedians, for instance. They would literally memorize everything. And other people are pretty good at just like having conversations on a bullet point because they've done it. Like in my case, I have done so many of these talks that all I need is a bullet point, and then I can have conversations about the topic without, being in need of notes and things like that. So get yourself in the habit of not relying on the written word, because here's another problem. Like, imagine, and it happened to some people, where you prepare something scripted or whatever and then you don't have access to it. You're relying on, for instance, a presentation on a document or something like that, and then something happened and you don't have access to it. You should be able to speak about the topic with just bullet points or even just an idea and a thought, and you should be able to talk about it. Because if you're too busy, I mean, look at the politicians, how they lose our interest the second they start reading out of a piece of paper. And it's like, okay, and especially if the reading is bad, they read kind of at the 5th grade level. We have seen that. So anyhow, I'm just not being political here, but I'm just saying that reading notes is not the best way of speaking. You need to connect with the camera. You need to be present. And then last, which we mentioned before, use of body language. Your whole body, actually, the nonverbals are more powerful than the verbals. We only use 5-6% of the verbal. Everything else in communication is nonverbal. So now quickly, how to overcome the fear of public speaking. Boost up your confidence. Speak. You're going to have your voice like shaky the first time. You're going to have a knot in your stomach the second time. You're not, your mouth is going to be dry, that dry mouth. Sometimes your legs are going to shake if you are in front of a big audience. Speak. And then you learn from it, and then develop exercises before. I know Tony Robbins, for instance, if you have seen I'm Not Your Guru on Netflix, he has a little trampoline and he literally jumps on it and he uses his body a lot and exercises. And when he started actually his career, he would sit in his car for 20 minutes and read incantations. Everybody's different. Find your blueprint, whatever can, get you that reaction to get you out of the fear zone, build confidence. The other thing that I do, I like that Rizwan talked earlier about, humor. I always did this. I always like to laugh. Laughter for me is a big thing. So I would normally just crack a joke or say something funny. I will entertain literally myself. I will just remember a joke or tell myself something that makes me smile and laugh. And the second I do that, I snap out of that fear. However, the takeaway here is that the fear is an absolute natural emotion that all of us have. Even like the most amazing speakers on the planet, fear is a natural emotion that is shared among all of us. And courage is not the absence of fear. People who have the courage to get on stage, people who have the courage to grab a microphone and talk And I don't even know how many people can see me out there. People who have the courage to take a phone and do a live Facebook Live event and connect with hundreds and thousands of people. It's not that we are not afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. We go with courage because we know that courage is what will help us get from where we are to what we are going to be. Remember earlier I said, don't allow fear to be an obstacle. So now I'm giving you the next step. Use courage, dare to do, dare to be, use courage to overcome that fear. So 10 ways to make money. Now I'm changing. I hope you guys are kind of immersing where you guys are there with me and you're feeling the passion for speaking and helping people and getting your message out and the courage. Yeah, let's use courage because we don't want to look back and regret the things we haven't done. And if you're courageous and audacious and persistent, you will overcome your fear every time. I can promise you that much. So now I'm going to go back to what I love to talk about the most is like how to monetize online. So I'm sharing with you 10 tips that I was actually, some of which I do and some are also shared among the John Maxwell team. So I thought that would be really a great outline for you to get inspired and use some of this. The first one is look for opportunities to be a guest speaker on online conferences and virtual summits. And I think this answers the question of the person who asked on Clubhouse. With the pandemic, of course, we can no longer go do the in-person, chats and talks and presentations and keynote speaking. But it opened this amazing opportunities of doing so much online. And we have done a lot of work online, speaking at, with TV shows, speaking at summits and so on and so forth. So especially in 2020, I would say I have not said no once. Every time somebody invited me, I would go. But near the end of 2020, as my schedule became a little bit more busy and I'm more focused on growing my academy and my Shabbat show and so on, you have to prioritize in a way. But take advantage, and the way you do it sometimes is kind of just look on Google, Google some stuff like canceled speaking events, and make sure you know your niche. And I'll talk about it in a minute. But do some research, and you will find great opportunities. A lot of speakers also who are established, they don't go to certain events that are canceled. So they might actually want you to come instead. So if you're like, oh, did any speaker cancel, or, because they don't want to travel, maybe you can take that spot. So these are really great opportunities for you to dig in and look into virtual summits and online conferences, if nothing else. Number two, be your own event host and speak from your own platform. So a lot of people, they say, yeah, but I don't know, if somebody doesn't invite me, what am I going to do here? It's like, I don't know. No, you absolutely know. You have a phone, right? You have a computer, you have a camera. In fact, I bought some lighting as well. You have a Facebook account, you have a platform. Just start speaking. So you can absolutely host your own thing. When I actually joined Clubhouse, I joined actually quite a while, maybe early January, somebody invited me, and then I didn't even look at it. I wasn't even going there because I was like overwhelmed and intimidated like everybody else. So the good thing that I did though is I did not remove the notification. So I wasn't going there. I had no interest, but then here I am on my groups, especially some entrepreneur groups that I am in. Everybody's like, oh, have you been on Clubhouse? So I'm seeing the word Clubhouse and then I'm getting notification. This person is speaking, that person is speaking. It took me about 3 weeks. So then 3 weeks, the first day I went in the room, I started listening. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I love to speak. Let me try my own room. And I kid you not, like the first time I did my own room, I waited 5 minutes. Nobody connected with me. I'm like, what the heck? I'm out of here. Then I left. So the following week, I see a young lady who opened a room and she was by herself. And I didn't go in because I was afraid that she would just pull me and I would have to stay there the whole time. But then I kept my eye on it. And every time I scroll up and down, I see that people were joining. And before you know it, I think she had like 20 or 30 people. And then a light bulb went off. It's like, you actually have to wait. Rocket science thing, right? So then I started doing a room, and I actually scheduled three rooms the following week, Monday, yeah, one every day for 1 hour at 1 o'clock, and I would choose a topic and I would wait. And then little by little, people started, connecting and so on and so forth. So it is an amazing experience, and you learn something and you create that platform. And like I said, don't focus or worry too much about if it's one person. In fact, one day I had one Moroccan gentleman from California. He came in and we were just like having an amazing conversation. He's a tennis coach, and we were talking about tennis the whole time, and it was amazing. I connected with him and now we're friends. And it's just like one of those amazing experiences. Have I waited until somebody would come and beg me, oh, please, Shaba, come create your own room because you are this amazing person? I don't know that's going to happen. So the idea here is like, don't wait. A lot of us, they wait for, something to happen when really we can create the happening, because we are living the happening. We are living the now. So don't wait, just do it. So the next one is give video presentations. I mean, video presentations are not for everybody. I have to say that. So if you're not, videogenic, photogenic, don't force it. But some of us, and the other thing is you don't know until you try it. I didn't know that I was kind of natural on camera until really I dared to do it. When I overcame my fear and I grabbed the phone and I started doing live. And I actually love live events more than the recorded ones because I feel like I can be myself. I love having conversation with people. And even when some comments are harsh like that, it's like, whatever, no big deal. And I have this composure, and I just do it and move on. So try video recording of live or even recorded and see what is it that you do. In fact, I think her name is Hernandez, if I'm not mistaken. She has a test or an assessment you can take online, and it's free, where you actually figure out what is your medium or media. And I did take that test, and I was so surprised at the beginning when they told me that audio video. And I'm like, because I come from an academic background, and I never thought that audio video would be my tool, because it's a kind of a new world for us. But take the test, the assessment, and see. Again, these assessments are supposed to help you become the best you are and know what are your skills. Be a guest speaker on a podcast. In fact, I do one. I have a show that is turning into a podcast called Shaba Speaks, and it's on lifestyle, health, wealth, and relationship. And I do invite people. That's the one that I am actually turning into a book, because I'm just learning so much and I gain so much from the experience itself. So ask people to invite you. In fact, I'm connecting with a lot of podcasters on Clubhouse. Amazing resources and tools that we can use to be invited or to invite guests. So don't undermine these tools. Host your own podcast that's along the same line, and sell programs, books, or other services, or get sponsors to monetize. Again, if you are, for instance, in health and wellness and fitness, for instance, you can reach out to the businesses around you or people who actually have something along the line of what you're talking about, and tell them, hey, for this much, I can promote your product or your service, and I have this many viewers, and so on and so forth. So this is another good way actually of monetizing, is getting sponsors, and Rizwan does the same or similar thing with his show as well. So then, just to recap the first 5 ways to making money: look for opportunities virtually, host your own platform, give video presentations, be a guest on a podcast, and create your own podcast, and find sponsors along the way. So number 6 is think outside of the main speaker box and look for opportunities to be a presenter, interviewer, or host, or a facilitator. Again, the idea here is action, be in motion and try to find different opportunities to be able to get booked and connect, through presenting or interviewing or becoming a host. Tell people that you can help them or others through a certain skill set. A lot of people, and this is really a challenge for people who think or undermine their expertise. Oh my God, I heard it from so many students and clients. They come and they're like, but Shava, I don't know what my expertise is. I don't know what I'm good at. And I say, how about your life experience? How about your journey? Did X, Y, and Z came into your shoes, in your body, and lived your life? How about your childhood, whatever you have experienced? What about challenges that you have overcome? I mean, sometimes I think that my life is not like all this amazing, but truly it is. And I'm not saying it just, oh, look at me. But I am like a woman, a Muslim woman who grew up in North Africa as a Berber, where I had some interesting experiences. And by the fact or the default of culture and society, I was treated as a second-class citizen. And I had to fight through so much. And then 23 years ago, I grabbed my stuff and came to America and landed in Chicago O'Hare International Airport. And I wasn't speaking English, and I didn't even have an education that I can just jump in a job right away. And then I had to, hustle and do all the things that are doing that while raising kids, while going to school and working and doing this and doing. I mean, it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? So really, if you get out of your skin for a moment and you look at from outside in to your life with a different lens. And I love this comparison always because I've done photography when I was 14, and I tell myself I can capture whatever I set my camera to do. So for instance, if I do have a short, like a small aperture, I can do a depth of field and then capture a bigger view or image, and I'm losing the details. But if I zoom in little by little, I can actually capture other details that I never even thought were there. So take that lens and start, capturing your life from different angles, as opposed to look at it from outside. It's like, oh, my life is boring. I haven't done much, But if you really start segmenting and zooming into different areas, you can take every single segment, story, experience, challenge you overcame, and turn it into a story that changes people's lives. So don't undermine your life. You are the expert of who you are, your journey, your experience, your knowledge, and that's your skill set. So then host a virtual Q&A on a topic that you care about. Like Rizwan and I today, we're hosting this amazing Q&A. Well, one way on Speaker Speak, because we are so passionate about speaking and we love to help people become better speakers. And it is a conversation that I am having pretty much with a lot of people on different platforms. And I know it's needed, and I know people are hungry to becoming better speakers and overcome their fear. That's why I call it Speaker Speak. And then check in with people you have already spoken for in the past and offer to do some new programs. I've spoken in different places before, so grab the phone, hey, or email. How are you guys doing? I know it's the pandemic, but you know what? I'm doing like a segment on how to be effective working from home, which I've done, or how to, mental health in employees who moved from working from their companies to doing the virtual thing. So there are just like a lot of ideas that you can come up with, and based on your interest, your niche, your skills, reach out to the people who can help. Like if you are in a niche related to young adults and youth, especially right now, they're going through a lot of challenges. It's like, I would like to help them organize their work, how they can still learn and grow, even though they don't have the same access to schools and teachers and things like that. So whatever you're used to do, or you feel like you can help other people do, go ahead and connect and tell them, showcase yourself, sell yourself, pitch yourself, and make people see that you can help them overcome adversity. And then this is really important, and this is actually the one that I am struggling with, and I'm going to tell you why. Find one niche and then a topic and become the go-to expert and pro on that one. This one I have actually is the one that I'm struggling with, and the reason is because I'm so passionate about different things. And at some point I tell myself, not this, not this, not this, but just this. And I'm getting better at it because of time constraint. I only have 24 hours in the day, and I'm just focused now on the few things that I need to do. And that's part of why end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I started saying no a little bit more. I'm not really feeling bad about it, just because, again, my niche, my topic, if it's not aligned, then I just walk away from it, and that's how it should be. So these are the last 6 or 5 other money-making opportunities for you through your speaking. And then, of course, any of this can be connected to your service or product. The same concept. If you are product-based, you still have to undergo through all this process of how you focus on your niche, you see the market, audience research and market research are super important. So all of this is kind of important, whether you are selling a topic, a service, or you are selling a product. Now, how to get booked? Quickly here, that's probably my last slide. Get good, get good, get good. And that's all, really. And the way you become good is you speak or speak. Again, it's the theme. That's why we're here. We're here to encourage you to speak more, right? To get over the fear, embrace courage, and speak. And then command your audience attention, connect with your audience. Always use your origin story. People relate to you, like, oh, I've gone through, I don't know, I can think of so many different things. Like, for instance, I have a friend who used to be a drug addict, that's a very powerful origin story you can relate to. I come from a dysfunctional family with an alcoholic father. I was married for 10 years and it was a toxic relationship, and thank God I got out of it, and now I am in a much better place, and this is how I did it. All of this is your origin story, okay? Be the guide, not the hero, as Donald Miller says. A lot of people or speakers, they think like, oh, I am gonna look so good, Superman in the house. No, nobody cares. In fact, John Maxwell says, honestly, nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. So you're not here because you know a lot. You're here because you care a lot, and that shows when you are intentional about framing your message, intentional about the care, how you want to help people change their life and overcome their adversity and the things that it holding them back. And honestly, I feel so bad when I see people so much potential and they are tossing it out the window. I literally get angry, and I just sometimes want to shake them. It's like, dude, you have this one life. You are loaded with skills or expertise or this or that. You're so brilliant and smart. But the problem is they don't see it because they're too afraid. They're like layers underneath, and they cannot get to that beauty thing that they can share with the world. And that really hurts my heart. And then have a conversation with your audience, but start with a conversation with yourself. We were talking last week in Clubhouse about communication, and I said the best thing you can communicate with, or the audience you should be communicating with first, is yourself. It's by communicating with yourself that you can expand your audience to outside of yourself, and then use the virtual platforms and look at the camera. So this is pretty much all I have to share with you guys in terms of monetizing and overcoming your fear. Just a quick announcement here that if you guys are interested in joining, I'm launching or starting a mastermind group coaching program, take you from speaking to speaker. So it's only 2 weeks. So if you guys are interested, DM me for information. And that's pretty much all I have.